Thank you, Diane. The other thing you didn't mention, and I've forgotten because we didn't do this full circle as we could and we always can, is we were put together as partners at a live uh, Forbes Factor Live is what it was called with our mentor Forbes Riley, um, and we had to stare at each other for 7 minutes in the eye. I mean, this is a woman I'd seen on screen. I never, and Diane, that was so beautiful, wasn't it? We saw each other. She was like my grandma from way back. I don't know what it was, but it was about this time last year, maybe a couple weeks off, but April last year. Anyway, we didn't stay as partners because we're both busy gals, but that doesn't mean we weren't in heart, right? I mean, to me, you're like a heart sister. So I love that. And I loved Preet's presentation. I never thought, and I wish I would have spoke up while she was here. I never thought of yoga into the Bible. It's pretty incredible. I do yoga. I do a couple days a week, but not Kundalini. I've heard of it, but it's just nice to hear that it really something can change the way you breathe, the way you think, the way you calm yourself down, all that stuff. So I love that. It was a great first start. So you're very great about pulling speakers together and letting them have the visibility and lining them up in a flow that makes sense. So I love networking. That's my jam. I love connecting people. I am an extrovert, but I also learned another word. Maybe you've heard of it, ambivert. That means you're a little bit of both, extrovert and introvert. So an extrovert can be out, can be, we don't like Zoom necessarily because we want to be doing multitasking. We want to be doing other stuff because we can't sit still. Introverts, a little tougher. They like the Zoom. So I'm going to talk about Zoom. I'm just talking about the visibility wherever you are. The first part is actually showing up. So over the last 25 years, I did create Women Make a Difference. It's a long-standing, as Diane mentioned, networking community. In fact, we had our April luncheon yesterday, and I had about 35 people there, a couple guys, mostly women. I always praise the men because I say you're brave and you're smart because women make most of the decisions. So you're smart for showing up. So I acknowledge them. But this is bringing people together with a mini vendor fair, a expert keynote speaker was about AI and being the unfair advantage was fantastic. And just this year, after 25 years, I put myself in the audience incredibly hard. I let my MC run the show while I'm sitting there thinking, she should have said this. I wanted to say this. And it's, so if any of you have passed the torch on something that you're doing, because we can't do everything. But it was a beautiful luncheon. And I just get reminded every time of the kudos that come to me about my energy and making people feel seen, heard, and connected. So I love doing that. But I've also noticed something interesting is that the people who get the most opportunities is not because they're working harder. They've just created a few habits that help them be seen. And those are the 4 S's that I'm going to be talking about. Excuse me, the 4 S's of visibility is first showing up. I know there's times I feel like this too. It's like you signed up for a networking event and you're going, I don't really feel like going now, but I paid the money. I better go. Oh gosh, I got to drive across town. But you need to go because you know what? Sometimes you don't feel like going to the event, but that event may need you, or just the opposite. You may need that event. You might be in a little depressed state, as Preet was mentioning. It doesn't take much nowadays. Hearing a slice of news or hearing about a friend having a trouble, whatever. It's hard to keep ourselves up sometimes, but that very networking event could be the thing that just brings you right up because you're around other people, like-minded people that want to better themselves and grow their business and so forth. So opportunities don't find people hiding behind their laptops because it's easy to hide behind our laptop unless you're an extrovert. Let me just see in the room who is I don't have it on the right view. Who is a extrovert or introvert? Who's an extrovert first? No extroverts. How about introverts? Who's the introverts? I have a special place in my heart for that because it's harder for you. Yes, you want to build your business and you should be getting out there, but it's not that easy to do. But if you want connections and referrals and partnerships and all that, you have to be in the rooms where the conversations happen. And that could be online too, but that's the showing up part. And I'm going to go a little deeper in these, but I'm just kind of just to level these 4 habits that people create that get them more visibility, more business, more relationships, more collaborations, all those things. So showing up first is the big one, and then shaking it up, being something different, not just saying, I'm an accountant, I'm an insurance agent. It's that you gotta pump that up a little bit. So we're going to talk about that is shaking it up somehow. And the third one is standing up and out. Please don't walk into a networking event and immediately go sit down. You're really missing a lot of opportunities there. But that's what some people do. And if I'm not busy setting up, like yesterday, I was feeling great because I was on time. I was set up early. I had time to mix with the people, which is what I like to do, be at the door, greeting the people when they come in. But if I'm not there, somebody might come in, check in, and go straight to the table and sit down. And I will go over and say, hey, let me get up and let me introduce you to a couple of people. Because I know right off the bat, that's a introvert. They don't know anybody. It's uncomfortable. So if you're uncomfortable, take a friend. Take a friend to your next networking event because they probably need to network also, right? The third one is stand up. And that's kind of like the other one, but really stand up in this case is really showing your expertise. It might have been mentioned here, or maybe it was yesterday in something. When we were always taught not to be bragging, or as women especially, we don't like hey, look at me, pound on your chest. So we don't tell people what we do or the expertise we have. Now there's the person that's going off and that can be arrogant, but you've got to stand up and own what you've created because you're the one that's created it. Nobody knows. You got to be telling people, contribute to the conversation, those kind of things. And then the last one, staying in touch, which is the all famous follow-up. We've probably all heard the fortunes in the follow-up, and it's probably the number one thing that's missed. You had a great conversation. I mean, raise your hand if you've ever been to a networking event. You had a great conversation with somebody. You have great intentions. You collect a bunch of cards. And then a week later, these cards are somewhere between your purse, your desk, maybe your floorboard. I don't know, or guilt. I like to say that, but not to make you feel bad, but these cards in my mind represent a gold mine. It's a gold mine that you created. And if you're not mining your gold mine, right? Like what was the point of networking? That's just random. You're not really, and that's why people sometimes don't like networking or think it's a waste of time because they're not working it the right way. They went, la, 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 they had the good time. They talked to a few people, boom, they're back at their job or whatever they're doing. So I want to show you how to have networking be a little more fun for you and valuable because we've all heard the ROI, right? The return on investment. You're taking your time to go. You've probably spent money for the lunch or the dinner or the breakfast. You need to make it worth your while. But I think there's even one more step that's better and richer, and it's your time it takes. That's the only thing is the return on the relationship, ROR. If you're not out there talking to people and then subsequently setting up for time to talk further, you've missed the whole boat, right? But we're all busy. We don't have the time to do it. So let's get into it a little deeper. Who wants better results from networking, right? Don't we all want better results? Well, hopefully you're networking some, or if you're not, I can encourage, by the time I finish, I can encourage you why it would be fun and why you need to show up and shake it up and stand out and stay in touch. Okay. So back to the first one, showing up. You can't build relationships, credibility, or opportunities if people never see you. It's just kind of simple, right? And then we might feel guilty that we're staying at home, but I want to get that project done. I want to get it done. I understand. I do too. I had to really take a look at my networking time. Last May that I left a particular networking thing I was doing. I was in 3 chapters and I was the VP of 3 chapters. And meanwhile, I'm running my own 2 networking events every month, a luncheon every month, and what I call a coffee conversations, which is somewhere we're listening maybe to a speaker, or we're shopping, or we're something. Like next month, it's a clothes swap. This month, it was called Emotional Reset. And it was a gal with oils talking about different things we could do to calm ourselves, and not kind of like but everybody loved it. I only had about 15 people there, but it didn't matter. Those intimate groups are just as good as large. Big isn't always better, right? But again, if you're not there, you're not experiencing any of this stuff. So I love all those opportunities. Showing up means attending events, participating in the communities, raising your hand. That was great. Whoever raised their hand right after Preet's talk, when you have the opportunity, and being present where your ideal connections already gather. Maybe it's a chamber, maybe it's an association or organization of the work that you do. Those are all like-minded people. But 17 years ago, I, for some reason, found the senior care professionals. These are people who run assisted livings, home healthcare agencies, big, big, what do you call these places that, that have memory care and all this? I mean, there's a lot of people in that industry. Maybe you've never even heard of it or thought of it. But I thought, hey, what I do, not only networking, I've also been a Legal Shield agent for 27 plus years. And that's how I started Women Make a Difference, honestly. I needed an audience, but it couldn't always be about me. So it's morphed into a lot of things. But along the way, I've met a lot of people. I happened to go to this association meeting for senior care professionals. And I've been networking with some of those people for 17 years now. So relationships can go back so far. Once you go, so I had to eliminate some of my networking, because back to what I was starting to say, the timing I was taking for all the networking, it's great, but then you don't have the time to follow up and further your programs and write your content and all those. If you've ever read the book E-Myth, Diane, have you ever read that book? Where it's just like, yeah, you can't do everything. You've got to figure out how you can still work on your business, but yeah, not just work in your business, but on your business. So the key message for showing up is that opportunity favors the visible. The person that keeps showing up is the person that's getting the business, the person that's furthering themselves. And it's fun. I mean, I think networking is fun. So attending networking events consistently is a key. You can just, make your step, have an intention. I'm going to start May 1st, and I'm going to attend at least 2 networking events a month. Maybe you're already doing this. I'm kind of speaking to the person who is afraid to get out. They don't know where to go, what to go. There's so many things you can look up on Facebook for meetups. Of course, the chambers, women's organizations. Google women's networking in your area, whatever. I pop up hopefully for women's networking in Albuquerque, is where I live. Volunteer, contribute, engage. That's really don't be a wallflower when you do go to something. Be seen in the rooms where the decisions and the connections happen. And that's all it is. You just need to show up. I went, believe it or not, years ago to an NAACP meeting. Of course, I was the only white woman there, but because I'm sharing Legal Shield with people, something I really have a passion for, I thought, well, this might be an opportunity for me. The people loved it that I was there, that I was brave enough to go. So, put yourself out there, show up. That's the bottom line, show up. Visibility begins with showing up, but if people can't or don't see you, they can't refer you. That's really the big thing. I'm not telling you to show up just for the heck of it. It's really show up so that people know to refer you. And then that kind of leads into shake it up. The next one, the next S of visibility is, once you're in the room, you don't want to blend in with everybody else. As I was mentioning before, you don't want to be the insurance agent, the banker. Like, what makes you stand out? You've got to have something compelling so people will remember you, for one, but also will be able to refer you. I have people calling. I feel like I'm the national information booth, which is not a bad idea, because it feels good to be able to help people with other resources. But somebody might, and this has actually happened, would call me up and say, I attended one of your luncheons a few months ago, maybe it was last fall, and there was a lady there with long brown hair, that did such and such. And I'm thinking, wow, well, luckily I keep my list and I can usually figure it out. But to me, that means A, that person wasn't paying attention enough, but the person they're looking for wasn't memorable enough, right? They didn't stick out enough for the person to remember them. So shaking it up is, again, you don't want to blend in. Most people introduce themselves the same way. I'm so and so. I work for the Bank of Albuquerque. So really, I mean, I hate to, that sounds rude, but you don't say so out loud. It's just like, okay, that's nice. And you don't want people doing that to your uh, introduction of yourself. That's nice. That's like one of the worst comments you could get. You want them to ask for more. Wow, that's interesting. Can we talk about that more? Let's get to coffee so we can get to know each other better. And I really want to know about that program you're talking about or whatever it is. So our mentor, Diana and I, Forbes, has a formula that I've adopted into part of my framework as well. And it's so simple. It's 3 words. I'm known as. I'm known as the master connection expert. And then you need to follow it up with a because. Why are you known as that? What is your social proof or your credibility that you're known as that? Why are you known as that? I'm known as your master connection expert because I've been hosting and producing quality networking events for over 25 years. And I've learned a thing or two. I like to be a joke in there, like the farmer's agent. I've learned a thing or two after 25 years. So now what I'm up to is teaching other people like you how to get more ROI and ROR, return on relationship, from their networking efforts. That's a lot more juicy than I have a networking event. Maybe you want to come to it. So shake it up a little bit with some energy, some creativity, and clarity to what you do. You don't want to ask somebody, you don't want somebody to say what they do, and you have to be guessing what it is or ask more questions. You can ask more questions in one-on-one, of course, but that first thing that you're going to get out of your mouth is something that is clear, understandable, hopefully referable, and makes that person want to know more and ask and say yes if they can. You don't always get the yes, but to really tell you more. Asking better questions. I'm a question asking fool, so this does not come hard to me. But if you are somebody who's like, oh my gosh, what do I say? There's so many. You can ask about their family. How did they come about what they are doing now? Diane, how did you come about doing retreats? You mentioned you had a whisper. That's cool. I want to know more about that. See, that was engaging that she said that because you want to know kind of whisper. What do you mean? Like that. So, again, you don't want to be flat. And there's so many people. Just think about the last networking event you went to. And I guarantee you there was somebody that says, I'm a financial planner with Edward Jones. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams. It just leaves like nothing because we all know what that is. There was nothing engaging to make you even want to know them more necessarily, right? So bringing enthusiasm in your personality, of course, that helps. And being curious instead of transactional. I always like that phrase. I don't remember who said it. Maybe Jim Rohn. I love him as a motivational speaker, is be more interested than interesting. If you're interested, that means you're listening. If you're interesting, you're yapping on yourself, right? And that's okay too sometimes. But we really got to watch that. So being curious about that other person is cool. So if you sound like everyone else, others won't remember you. That kind of hurts, right? You don't want to sound like everyone else. That's the message there. Okay, the third S for visibility is standing up and out. And this is really about authority and confidence. Standing up means positioning yourself as someone who knows something valuable. If I could just ask for a show of hands now. I don't have my screen the right way to see gallery so I can see this. Once I said my little commercial there, I'm Val Romero. I'm known as the Master Connection Expert. After producing and hosting quality networking events over 25 years, I learned a thing or two, and I love helping people get more ROI and ROR from their networking efforts. Would anybody here say, I want to know more about that. When's your next event? Raise your hand. Right? It's a little more engaging. We don't have very many cameras on. So all who's thank you, Diane. You got your virtual hand raised. I love that. So it's not just about handing out business cards. You do not want to go to an event and just walk up to everybody and here's my card without any kind of introduction. That is a really a no-no in my mind because why do I want to have your card? I mean, just because you sell cash registers or something, for me, I like everyone's card because I can get them to come to my event and I can also talk to them about Legal Shield. Not all on the same thing, but this is why I could talk to anybody. But just somebody handing you their card means nothing because you just don't have a connection with them. So that's not something you do. It's just run around and hand somebody all your business cards. You share ideas and discussions. You offer resources. You offer your idea about that. If you're someone who's shy and introverted and you just don't know how to get into a conversation, walk up to a group of people who are standing there talking. You don't have to walk in, but you kind of stand on the edge of the circle and watch this magic happen. The circle kind of opens up because people are nice. Generally, they want to include other people, but we think, oh, they're talking about something I don't know. No, they open up and you don't even have to ever say anything. They might refer to you and then you're going to say, hey, I'm so and so, but don't be that person that's just sitting down. You need to kind of make yourself stand up and stand out, right? Don't go just sit down. You can speak and teach and facilitate. There's all kinds of things. I know one of our speakers today said he's really good with one-on-ones. Most of us are, but it's good to develop the skill to do other things so that you have your words when it comes to time somebody calls on you for a commercial and you weren't ready or all those things. Incredibly important just to be ready. Offering insights and resources, as I said, and be willing to lead a conversation. I mean, it doesn't always have to be about work. We're human, right? So networking isn't all work, work, work. It's about being a human and interesting, and so that people want to talk to you. People can't value your expertise if you hide it. So again, we don't always want to be the one saying, me, I'm this, but there are ways you can do that. And it really all has to do with showing up because then people get to know you and all kinds of things come from there. The last one is staying in touch. I think this is the one people miss out on the most. And I didn't realize this until I started doing some studying myself. I like to be the first person. It's a game I play. If I've met somebody new and I have their card, I want to be the first one to follow up. It's just kind of fun. You could take this on yourself because people don't follow up. Have you noticed this? This is like an overall thing. You meet great people somewhere and it just kind of goes flat, but you have to be the one to make it happen. You can't wait for them. Maybe it was someone you're thinking, I would never do business with that person. Not because of the person. I'm sorry. They're doing something that is not something I need right now or whatever. You need to be, this is how you get to be known as, yeah, I've been doing this, my networking, Women Make a Difference that Diane mentioned, 25 years. In fact, we just celebrated 25 years in last September with a big event. I don't know why I did this huge event. It was great, about killed me, but I was celebrating myself basically for keeping a group together all this time. And I'm still going strong, but I like the idea. I've created another little site for it, value networking off my name to teach these things that are so important about networking. Everybody knows how to show up for an event. A chamber event, I don't know why I keep saying chamber. I don't really go to chamber events. You got to find the niche in your town that is for you, whether it's all the same kind of people. I mean, it's amazing to me in the senior care industry, they all meet and they're all the same kind of people, but they still, they do business with each other and they move jobs a lot too, which is interesting. But I can talk to them about networking. I can talk to them about Legal Shield. It's just kind of cool just to be, so you're not necessarily just in your industry. You got to get out of your own industry and get into somewhere else where you can make a splash about what you do with other people. So most people meet someone, it's great, and then Nothing, flatline, right? You had a great conversation and all that, but where does it go from there? The relationship fades. Staying in touch is really where the ROI comes in, the return on relationship. It takes time though. I'm not going to lie. That's maybe why people don't want to do it. We're all busy doing what we're doing to make our living, right? But you've got to have those relationships in there. So when it's time to call on someone else, you've got that person, or you're the person they're calling and say, do you know someone who can't, that makes you look so good. In my mind, it does. It's like I used to say, I'm the national information booth. It's not quite that bad, but a couple of times a week or a few times a week, maybe somebody say, hey, do you know who that person is? Can you get me in touch with that person that talked about so and so? And I mean, I instantly know who it is, but I just do have that gift of from God of great memory for names, dates, and faces, which is very helpful. My family made fun of me for it. Like you're always remembering that. Well, it serves well in business because people can say, you remember that girl with the dark hair? She kind of wearing that yellow dress or whatever. I go, yeah, that was so and so. It's kind of a cool thing. But I'm known for remembering people and making them feel good. That's a great thing. So the networking is just, kind of a cherry on top of being able to help people reach other people. Like I'm the phone book kind of, right. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not suggesting that you are, but you pay attention to who, when you're staying in touch, that you get somebody's business card and you send them a message. It could be so short. You can make templates for yourself. Great meeting you, and then you personalize it that a little bit. I have programs that I do for that. I'm helping people with this kind of thing. But a thoughtful follow-up email goes so far. You be the one that starts that. Don't wait for the one yourself. You be the one. Adding contacts to your system. Is everybody doing that? You meet somebody and you add somebody. That's incredibly important because who are you going to talk to when you're trying to tell them about something you have going? I've created a huge database over these 25 years of Women Make a Difference. This is my networking. We have a luncheon every month, and we have what I call a coffee conversation every month, and they're the same. It's the second Friday and the third Thursday. I keep it the same because people, they don't remember. Even after all these years, I have to still say, because people don't remember. You got to just, put yourself out there. But a thoughtful email goes so far. If you didn't get their email, you don't have any way to communicate. So the whole idea of going to an event, collecting the cards, do something with them. Even if it's just that first, hello, it was great meeting you. But put them in your system. Google Contacts is the best one. That's another thing we can go off on. There's so much free software. I kind of say I'm old school. I do it old school, but everybody I mean, I'm kind of known in my town. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. If somebody wants to know, it's like, who's that person, so-and-so? And I will actually remember who that is. So it's a great superpower to have. Not everybody has that, but you can be thoughtful in your own way with just that follow-up message. Hey, it was great meeting you at that event last week. Let's get together. If you want to get together with that person, that takes time. I know we're all busy. Nurturing those relationships to get to know someone and know what they do and make them feel important. That's your gold mine right there. It's a real gold mine. So adding contacts to your system, your organized system. I mean, every time you come home from something, an event or wherever you were, put them in your network, in your, what am I saying? Your where you hold all your database of people. It can be in Google, Gmail. I don't know. You don't have to make it hard. You don't have to get a software necessarily. But that initial follow-up message, I like to be the first one. Hey, it was great meeting you at the so-and-so. And you can make yourself templates for these. You don't have to think of the words every time. It's just the act of doing it is so valuable. You wouldn't believe how you get known, how people think of you from a thoughtful email that you sent after you met someone. But if you've never put them in your system, you don't have a way of doing that. So you can create groups where you have, met at the chamber, met at the so-and-so luncheon, met at Forbes. I have my whole label, they call it, for people I met in the Forbes community. That's where I met Diane. And so I know I can call, all the people I've met there, everybody I meet, I instantly, it's like a game for me. You can gamify it, get it in your system because you never know when you're going to need to call on that person or ask them for something or invite them to something, right? Very valuable. Get your database. So you can check in later. But I like to do it within 48 hours. That's just my thing. So networking doesn't happen at the event. You believe that? Networking doesn't happen at the event. It happens after the event when you follow up, get to know somebody a little better. So if you want real results from networking, you've got to remember these 4 S's. Does anybody remember? Show up, shake it up, stand up, and stay in touch. If you'd like to get my how to be, no, to stop being the best kept secret in the room, they're going to put my link up in there. I have a little mini guide called the 5 mistakes that keep you being the best kept secret and how to fix them. What you do is important. You've spent maybe a lifetime or at least some time pulling yourself together to do what you do. But if you're the best kept secret, nobody's going to know, right? So I'd love to talk to you more. Maybe this little mini guide will help you quit being the best kept secret. And Diane, thanks so much for the opportunity.